Welcome everyone to the KO Kitchen and welcome Eleni from My Family's Food Diary. It is so good to be cooking with you again, Eleni.
I'm so excited.
Alright, today we are talking all things trahana. Trahana forms part of the Cypriot and Greek cuisines. There are two different types of trahana. There's sweet trahana and sour trahana. I have only ever had the sweet trahana and Eleni has only ever had the sour trahana. Today's video will be focusing on the sour version and that's why Eleni is here. To make trahana, you use whole wheat. You take this whole wheat and you grind it down. Ground wheat is called kibbled wheat. How finely do you grind it? Well, Eleni is using a slightly coarser grind to make her sour trahana today. When I make my sweet trahana, I will be using a finer grind. So, just to give you a little bit of background regarding the sweet trahana, what you do is you take the finer grind of the wheat, fine kibbled wheat, and you combine it with milk to form this big mound of porridge. You then let that mound of porridge cool down and then you break down the porridge into chunks and lay it out on a table on a tablecloth out in the sun on a nice dry hot day. You then really let it dry out and you take it and you grind it down either in a food processor or you can grind it by hand in a coarse sieve. The trahana is then stored in jars, in containers and used for cooking in the winter months traditionally in Greece. What do you use it for? You can use it for stews, you can use it for soups, you can use it in dishes like pites, pies or paspalhada. There are many ways to use it and we'll be showing you some of those ways. But today we're going to learn how to make the sour trahana version. Eleni, tell us about the sour trahana.
So in Cyprus, like we said before, we use a coarser kibbled wheat that we add in milk, yogurt or a combination of milk and yogurt to boil the kibbled wheat in. Traditionally, when we're using milk, we use a combination of goat's and sheep's milk that is fermented. So they allow that to at room temperature in big canisters with some salt to help preserve that for a few days. And every 2-3 days, they add more salt and milk until that reach the sourness. So that the aim is to get it as tangy as possible in the canisters. And then once they taste it and see how sour they like it, then they use it to boil the kibbled wheat in to make that porridge, just similar to what you guys do too.
Yep. But today we're not actually going to be using the milk version, we're actually going to be using a yogurt recipe.
Correct, yeah.
Why are we doing that?
So this was shown to me by two different aunties of mine. They do this way as it's a lot easier to do at home and as far as access goes to goat's milk and sheep's milk, it's probably not as accessible as what yogurt is at supermarkets. So we do that, and the fuss it's very minimum. So we just allow the yogurt to ferment to become sour on the bench without adding any salt, so on room temperature.
So you've had these out, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had these out for 9 days now.
Okay, so Eleni has had these out on her bench at room temperature for 9 days and has allowed them to naturally ferment. And we're going to use these to boil up our kibbled wheat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once the wheat has been boiled, then in a similar way that porridge is formed, we're allowed to cool down. But the difference is we form balls or like elongated.
They kind of look like melon macaroni.
Yeah, that's true.
They look like wheaty melon macaroni.
Yeah, that's my version, and that's because my version I tend to freeze. So knowing that we're in Melbourne, the weather's not very reliable, and so we can't let that large ball out in the sun for a week because every day is different day. Whereas you only leave it for a day.
Okay.
We leave it for a few days out in the sun.
Okay.
And then we can also cut it in a different way. So every family has a different way of doing it. So I just like doing that.
So traditionally, the porridge is made, and then when it cools down, it is shaped into these things that look like a little melon macaroni.
Yeah.
Traditionally, they would be left out in the sun to dry out, but Melbourne weather would never allow you to do that. So instead, you freeze them.
I freeze them, yeah, and they last longer. I also feel like the texture of them is a lot creamier, the flavour of the actual soup in the end. And it's just, again, goes to convenience. You know, you don't have to worry about any flies coming out in the sun. Everything's just done, stored in the freezer for up to at least 6 months. And
amazing.
Not if it lasts that long, because we usually eat a lot of trahana at home. Yeah.
Okay. I know you guys love your sour trahana soup, which we're also going to show today as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Eleni, let's make a start. What do we do first?
So first is to check our kibbled wheat. So we check through it for any anything that shouldn't be there, so any little pebbles, and then we wash it and dry it.
All right, let's do it.
Very tiny, but if you see it.
Oh yeah, good for you. You've got good eyes. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And now we need to take this and we need to wash it. So we'll just put it in a sieve in like smaller amounts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come it out
and just wash it. So you can see here that the water is still quite cloudy, so we're going to keep washing the wheat until the water becomes clearer, just like we do with rice.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and we continue on until we wash all of the kibbled wheat. Eleni, what do we do next?
So next, the wheat is now ready, so we just have to bring the yogurt to a soft boil with some salt, and then add the wheat to cook with it for about 20-25 minutes until the yogurt is completely absorbed.
Okay, let's do it.
Alright, so here I have 1 kilo of goat's milk yogurt and 1 kilo of sheep milk yogurt. So we're just going to put it up, pour it in, and you can see the consistency because it's been out already, and all those curdled, beautifully curdled fermented yogurt. So we're going to bring this to a soft boil and then add the salt.
So we've got the yogurt in the pot warming up, and we'll return to it and stir it in a minute. In the meantime, we're going to actually squeeze some lemons to prepare some lemon juice that we're going to add to the yogurt as well.
Yep.
We're talking sour.
So we're using about 2/3 of a cup for the recipe that we're using today. 2/3 lemon juice.
Yep.
Now again, this is personal preference because I love my lemon. I love it sour. But if someone, you know, they can just adjust it to their own taste buds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 2/3 of a cup lemon juice.
Ready?
Ready to go. All right, I'm just going to go back and stir some more.
So you can see some soft boiling happening here, which is perfect, all you need. And the yogurt has now liquefied even more, so you can see a lot softer. So we're going to add the salt now, and then the wheat, and then slowly add the lemon juice while we keep stirring. So we're just going to add the salt. There's 3 tablespoons of salt. And then Christine, if you can please pass the wheat.
Yes. Do you want me to kind of...
Oh yeah, sure.
Oops. Put it in. Do you just dump the whole lot? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to keep stirring now until all of the yogurt has been absorbed, and I'll show you a little trick soon on, you know, how I know it's ready. So we're going to keep stirring now until everything's combined, which is perfect right now. And we're going to add the lemon juice very slowly.
Very slow.
While we keep stirring. Yep. That's it. So once it starts boiling like this, we reduce the heat to a medium. We stir it often, but you don't have to stay over the stove stirring it continuously. Just make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom. So you can see that the wheat has absorbed quite a lot of the yogurt and it has banded. So we just want to see now if it's ready. So the trick is we add the wooden spoon in the middle of the pot, and if it falls, then it's not ready. If it doesn't fall, then it means it's thick enough and it's, you can see, it falls. So it's still not ready. Probably another 4 or 5 minutes and then we'll be done. Alright, it's ready. Let's have a look.
Yeah,
that's it.
All right, that's it.
We switched it off the heat. We're going to now cover it with a clean towel and place the lid on top to allow it to cool down for a few hours so that it's cool enough for us to roll the balls of trahana.
Okay, the trahana has been resting in this pot for about 2 hours. You could probably do a slightly longer rest so it can really cool down, but we're going to try and work with it as it is. Okay, what do we do? Yep.
All right, so we are going to the beautiful surface. You can see it's dried up water on the top.
And there are little cracks,
Yeah.
so you know that it's dried up properly.
So we're just going to get a spoon and scoop out about 100 grams of the trahana. So we have the scale here to have a look. And the only reason I do this is just so I know that when I do make the soup, just so I know how much to actually use for the soup. So just look at that, see it's beautiful thickness. So roughly 91, so a little bit more. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So you form the trahana into an oval shape between your hands, and then now that it's completed, we continue on the process, the same process.
Okay, can I do some too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If the trahana, if you leave it longer, it will dry up a little bit more. So if it's too dry, we usually wet our hands with water or milk to help us form the shape.
Ah, okay, there's a tip.
Good job.
Thank you, that's my very first one ever. So, because we haven't let this mixture cool down for long enough for the proper 3 to 4 hours, it is a little bit sticky, but it's still doable, so no stress. Okay, so traditionally, these would then get cut into smaller fragments, and they would get laid out on a table, on a tablecloth, out in the sun and dried out. But because we really can't rely on Melbourne giving us a number of consecutively dry days, Eleni has come up with a very clever idea of just freezing these and storing them for later use.
Yep, that's right.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to transfer these to a Pyrex and use baking paper to layer the balls, and then pop them in the freezer. Eleni, do your girls eat the soup that you make from these?
Trahana, yes, absolutely. They love it. It's one of their favorite soup. My daughter, Senior, my oldest, she actually asks me for it.
Wow.
I didn't have it in the freezer the other day, and she's like, "Mom, can you make me some?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's make some from scratch together."
Okay. All right. Well, you can have some of these, definitely. Okay. Imagine that. Imagine your children eating a soup that's made from beautiful whole wheat and yogurt, and then we put shredded chicken in it, and we put halloumi as well. How incredibly nourishing and satisfying that would be for them and for a mother seeing her children eat that food. All right. So now we have finished. All right. We will need to put these in containers too and put them in the freezer. And then we're going to show you how to make the very special trahana sour soup from Cyprus. Say that quickly 10 times. Sour soup from Cyprus.
Sour soup from Cyprus.
Sour soup from Cyprus. trahana patties, balls, are now in a Pyrex dish layered with baking paper and freezing in the freezer. We are now going to make the trahana soup, the traditional Cypriot Sour Trahana Soup. So we're going to start by making our stock. Eleni, what are we doing?
So we're going to simply boil 3 liters of water with some salt. Add chicken. So I usually use chicken that has bone in it. So you can use thigh cutlets, or in this case we're using drumsticks that have been cut off from the end. I'm going to boil it for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then add the trahana.
Okay, let's do it.
Just add the salt to the water and allow it to boil for about 40-45 minutes, and then the stock will be ready.
So the stock is boiled for about 40 to 45 minutes, and what we're going to do now is finish it up. Here we go.
So take the chicken out so we can let it cool down, so we can shred it to use it for the soup when we eat it. Okay. And so for the amount of water that we added to begin with, so 3 liters of water to begin with, we are going to now add 6 of these blocks that were in the freezer to make our soup. So at this point, we're just going to allow the trahana to break down in the hot water, the hot stock, until it forms an even mixture, and then from there just leave it to boil for about 25 minutes. And it'll start breaking down and we'll see a creamy, white, milky colour.
The trahana balls are just boiling and breaking down and cooking through in the pot to form a beautiful soup. And in the meantime, we're just going to prepare our chicken and our halloumi. What do we do?
So I'm just going to cut the halloumi in small cubes, and Christine here is going to help me shred the chicken in pieces so that when the soup is ready, we can just add everything into our own individual.
Great. All right.
So the soup is ready. It has been boiling for 25 minutes. It's so creamy and milky. It smells divine. The consistency that you see here is what we like at our house. If you prefer it thicker, then you add less stock. If you like it thinner, then you add more stock.
Okay, it's time to serve up this special Cypriot Sour Trahana Soup. I can't wait to try it. Let's do it. Yay! Check that out. Okay, and what we do is we just add some chicken to this. And a little bit of halloumi. Is that about right?
Yep.
Yep.
The more the
Great.
better, but yeah,
The
that's
more the
fine.
better. Okay, all right. I can't tell you how thrilling and exciting it is to learn a new cuisine, a new dish. It was just absolutely magic today, Eleni.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. I love cooking with you. I love it.
And I love cooking with you. We're going to do more and more. Okay, so this is the moment that we get to try this legendary soup. Legendary. All right.
Be careful of moving yourself.
Because it's hot. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Gotta do my I do Lamar's breathing.
They've got the sheep milk coming through, it's so nice. That texture is beautifully cooked.
Wow. It's perfect. It's got this thick, creamy consistency, sort of something between a custard and a porridge, somewhere in between. And then it's got this sourness, and it's got the texture of the trahana and the little halloumi, cheesy, squeaky bites.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing. Make this. Make it, please. Orexi, thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know if you make this beautiful soup We love hearing from you. We love knowing that you have made this dish, and we love knowing that you love this dish. So please let us know. In the meantime, καλή όρεξη και γεια σας.
Bye. Please.